Hi there, everyone. It's a beautiful day to speak about workflow automations. So, today I'm going to speak about the challenges that corporations that take in a lot of customer requests or support tickets have to deal with. So, you basically have um, you have human agents that are burning a lot of man hours taking calls, chatting with clients, and taking in all of their requests, and then logging that into probably an Excel sheet somewhere. And then the actual technical staff would have to go through that Excel sheet and then address each and every one of those requests. And then there's still the process of giving feedback to each one of those clients on the status of their request. If there's additional information required, well, at the end of the day, if we do a simple calculation and say you're looking at, let's say, two hours per client, and then you probably have you have about 50 clients per week. That gives you what? Let's see. Um, so that's about 100 hours a week. You have what? 48 hours. You have 48 weeks. 40. Let's say 52 working weeks in a year. In fact, let's bring it down. 48 working weeks in a year, and automatically you have 4,800 hours right there. Billable at what? Let's say minimum wage in the US or in Canada, you have it at around, let's give it an even $15. So you multiply that, and right there you have $72,000 of billable man hours, with $17,000 that is going to man hours that can be automated away. So this automation, n8n automation you see right here, is what basically handles this for us. It replaces the man hours that you need to engage with clients across different industries. So this is completely customizable. So it communicates. Your clients or customers can send in questions or inquiries, and then it classifies these inquiries into predefined categories, which I would work with you to actually define, and then have a structured list of questions which you are already asking, because your operations by this point would have had a cache of history, and we by analyzing that history, we'll be able to figure out questions per each category, and then structure that in such a manner that the LLM that is integrated into this workflow can be able to classify whatever message or support request that the customer sends in, and then go through the flow of asking them each and every one of those questions. So they look at the architecture right here. So you have okay, this is we are basically using Google Sheets. We're using Superbase for persistent storage and session management. And then n8n, of course, is for building out the workflow. And then you have Telegram to communicate with the client. So I use Telegram because it's easy to demo. You can also integrate this with WhatsApp. You can do this with a web app. You can plug this into voice flow, and then have it integrated on your website as a chatbot. We can also do, if like I earlier mentioned, we can do this over WhatsApp. We can do this over Instagram. We can do this um, over Facebook. Basically, any communication channel that has an API endpoint that we can use to interact with clients can be integrated with n8n. So we're using Telegram for communication here. So let me activate this and show you what it looks like. Oh, let me speak about the support questions. So if you look at the tab at the bottom of the screen, we basically have five categories here. So I modeled this for for a construction loan company. So you basically have you have maybe issued out construction loans to a particular client, and they might have specific issues, and they might want to reach out to you to ask questions or probably get clarifications on some things. So with that, any message that they send in would be classified into one of these categories, and then the questions that are under each of these categories gets asked of them in a conversational tone. So the key here is to make sure that they don't feel as if they are speaking to a bot, or um, of course they are not speaking to a bot, they are speaking to a human. So once that is classified, um, the questions get returned back into the workflow, and then n8n iterates through those questions and asks the user to provide information. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So I'm going to just pull up the Telegram bot here. So with this active, with the n8n workflow active, I just need to send in a message. So I would say hello. Okay, so we have a reply, and next up I will send in the message of my request and see what happens. So let's say I sent in a draw request a few days ago. So I asked that I sent in a draw request a few days ago. Any update on it? Well, let's see what happens. It should classify and then ask me questions that I will provide answers to. So now it gives us, so it then asks us for, it asks me to provide a draw request, the draw request number or the property address. So I'm going to just paste that in. And by the way, I used an LLM to generate this example scenario. So I'm just copy pasting from the conversation flow that the LLM generated. So I'm going to hit enter. I'm telling you the property is on Main Street. Is at 123 Main Street, and I hit enter. And then let's see what gets asked next. So it's asking me that, could you please tell me what specific issue you're facing with the draw? For example, are you checking its status, dealing with a rejection, or experiencing a funding delay? Yeah, well, I said yes, I am actually just checking the status of the request, and enter. So it has returned with what now? So it's asking when the draw request was submitted. I would say I sent in the request about 2 weeks ago. All right, so it has gone through all of the questions for that particular category, and it now tells the client that, thanks for the info. We've received your request to check status for your draw for 123 Main Street, and then a human agent will review it and get back to you soon. Your request ID is, so of course, this is a necessary disclaimer with all of the requirements from different governments around the world, to have a disclaimer that informs the user that they are actually conversing with an AI agent and not a human. So you would have to like throw this in somewhere. It depends on the regulations in your industry. We can always work around that or work with whatever is applicable in your industry. So now with this request logged, let's now see how it is in the spreadsheet that tracks it. So this is what it looks like. So you have the chat ID, you have the username, which would be the name of your client based on their registration on Telegram, or we could also add in a pre-qualification, should I say yeah, pre-qualification form, like where we like ask the user their name and maybe an email address for possibly any other form of communications. It depends on your workflow. It depends on how your operations run. You can always model this to fit your workflow. The goal here is to cut down the man hours. So you can see the responses to each of the questions are here for the human agent to review, right? And then if there are any files, those files get stored. So there's a routine here. Let me just zoom in a bit. So there's a switch node here. This switch node detects whether there's media in the chat, in the chat history or not, or the chat that just came in. If the user uploaded any pictures or any documents, it immediately gets sent to Superbase. So it's stored in a Superbase bucket, right? And then that URL gets stored here in this particular column if there are any. So that way, if there's any need for the human agent reviewing this particular request to view the files, they can easily click that link here. So at inception, the status is pending, and then you have the update message where, if for instance I as the human agent decide that I need more info, so we'll basically have about three statuses where you have processing completed or you're requesting for more info. Once again, if there are more statuses that are applicable to your particular situation, we can always code that in. So this is for illustrative purposes. So I would say more info, and then update message. I would say we need the specific loan account number to proceed. So I'm done with that. So imagine, and I don't need to go back to figure out whether we're chatting with this client over WhatsApp or whether it's via email, go construct an email or whatnot. No, I do just this update here and then I forget about it. If I have the next request on this line, for instance, I would go to that line and also address that request as the human agent. I'm not worried about engaging with clients directly. So over here we have a subroutine. Now in this subroutine regularly checks this sheet every 5 minutes to check if there's any change in the status. Once there is a change, it updates the client based on the status. So if it's processing, it updates the client that we're processing. If it's more info, it will ask the client for more information. So oops, our node died there. I'm running on my local machine, so yeah, that's to be expected. So let's see what we have. Oh yeah, so it checked and then it's telling us, could you please provide the loan account number? So I'm going to put in just a bunch of numbers. The loan account number is 0045223485, whatever. So I'll hit enter on that, and then let's see what happens. So with that, we see that it's going to update the ticket basically with the new information that was requested for. So as the human agent, if you come back to this tracker or where the support responses are saved, you'll see that under additional responses, remember the update message, we said we needed the specific loan account number to proceed. That is logged here. So you have the question and then you have the loan account number right here, and then the user can go ahead to the human agent can go ahead to utilize this and then complete the request. So let's say the request is completed. So let's see what happens. So as the human agent, having completed the requests, right, the customer was requesting for status update on their draw request. So and then we requested for their loan account number. So we'll now set it up, we'll update the status to completed, and then under agent notes, we would say, as an agent, I would say, okay, based on what I found, the draw will be granted in 5 business days. So it's a fire and forget. I've made that update and then I let it be and I'm done. And then I'm able to move to another request. Meanwhile, our agent will be able to do that update to the client on its own. This one that checks every 5 minutes will then fire and then do the necessary checks and make that update. All right, so this is the update. We're writing to provide an update on your draw request. Based on our agent's review, the draw for your property at Main Street will be officially granted within the next 5 business days, and you will receive further notification once this process is fully complete. And like that, you've bought back time, and time is very expensive. So that's how this workflow works. Thank you.